and welcome to the sew along for the Buffy, a 3-in-1 pattern that includes a long sleeve crop top and thong panty, a long sleeve bodysuit, as well as a long sleeve dress with a circle skirt and shorts attached. In this video series, I will be going over everything from fabrics you should choose, pattern pieces you should have cut out, sewing steps, as well as a little bit about sizing and some really fun variations. Now, before we get into all of that fun stuff, let me first go over what Madeline is and what we offer here out of this super cool studio. So Madeline is a woman-owned, that's me, Philadelphia-based lingerie company offering DIY lingerie kits, bra making workshops and retreats, both in person and online tutorials just like this one, as well as ready-made lingerie. What is ready-made lingerie? Basically, it is lingerie that we sew for you. So if you have a friend, a mom, a sister, a cousin, whoever who loves your be-made lingerie, but you don't want to sew it for them, and I don't blame you, we have a team of sews who will sew it for them based on their measurements. Okay, so now let's get into it. Sizing. The Buffy is available in sizes extra, extra small through 4X. It is drafted for a cup size A through D. And that range is large because most often patterns are drafted for a particular cup size. But the Buffy uses medium to high stretch fabrics. So what if you are a D cup or larger? Can you wear the Buffy? Can you wear a bra or can you go braless? The answer is yes. But two things to keep in mind is that the support is going to come from fabric as well as compression. The lower the stretch percentage of your fabric, the more support it's going to give. And the more compression that it has, the more support it's going to give. So if you are a D cup or larger, I suggest using a firmer fabric either as the main fabric or as the lining fabric. A little tip is that you can use a power net for the front portion of the Buffy bodice. And you could also size down 1 to 2 sizes. Some of our fit models who measured as a large, extra large, were able to fit into a small medium, and it just felt a little bit tighter, more supportive, and they felt more comfortable not wearing a bra. This is a great segue into variations of the Buffy. The first variation of the Buffy came from one of our pattern testers who, when she first read the pattern, did not know that the little overlay on the crop top, which is an optional piece, that it actually was external, not internal. So she sewed it internally and made a shelf bra and commented that it actually added a little bit more support to her Buffy. There aren't instructions on how to do this, but one of my mottos is that when there's a will, there's a way. You're a sewer, you can get creative. I have full confidence that you can do it if you want to do this variation. The other variation, so cute, is that if you don't sew the circle skirt onto the dress pattern, which makes for, at the time of this filming, it's around Halloween, which would make for a great Halloween costume. We also styled it with like a long sleeve button down, a little belt over it. So cute, so cute. I'll add some photos to this video. Okay, next up is what fabrics that you should use and what you should have cut out.
First, sorry, not sorry for using a white fabric against a white background. This is a new DIY kit coming out and it's super cute and I really wanted to sew it, so I will do my best to clearly mark them. The second thing that I want to say is that there are so many possibilities of what fabrics you can use, what linings that you can use. So even though I am telling you what fabrics I'm using for this tutorial, this sew along, there are so many different options. Okay, so pattern piece number 1 is the front bodice. I have a printed lycra and it is lined with a stretch mesh. Pattern piece number 2 is the front bodice overlay and I'm using a stretch galloon lace. Pattern piece number 3 is the back bodice. I'm using just a single layer of stretch mesh. Pattern piece, kind of jumping to the next pattern piece number 13 and 14 are the front and back thong. The front thong is a lycra lined with a stretch mesh and the back thong is just a single layer of stretch mesh. Pattern piece number 5 is the sleeve, which is a single layer of stretch mesh. And then pattern piece number 6 and number 7 are the front bodice overlay, top and bottom lace, which are a strip of the same stretch galloon lace. So kind of to recap, also we need the shoulder pieces. I don't have that shorter piece here with me, so sorry, but I know it's a number. It's probably like 4 or 5, but it's the shorter piece that gets attached to the front bodice. Also Lycra lined with a stretch mesh. To recap that, the front bodice, the front sleeve, the front thong are all lined with a layer of fabric. Single layer of fabrics are the sleeve, the back bodice, the back thong, the front overlay. Hopefully that makes sense. Moving on to the bodysuit, you should have pattern piece number 1, which is the front bodice, a Lycra lined with a stretch mesh. Pattern piece number 4, which is the front armhole, I'm not going to forget that this time, which is Lycra lined with a stretch mesh. Pattern piece number 3, which is the back bodice, single layer of stretch mesh. Pattern piece number 9, which is the front panty, is a Lycra lined with a stretch mesh. Pattern piece number 10, the back panty, which is a single layer of stretch mesh. Pattern piece number 5, which is the sleeve, single layer of stretch mesh. The scallop lace for the front bodice top lace, as well as the panty lace panel. Those are pattern piece number 8 as well as number 11, are just a single layer of the stretch galloon lace. I also want to mention that the front bodice for the crop top and panty, as well as the dress, it is the front bodice that has the dotted line on it, so it doesn't dip down. For the bodysuit, this one, it does have the little dip at the center front. Last but certainly not least, the dress. You should have pattern piece number 1, which is the front bodice, Lycra lined with stretch mesh. Pattern piece number 4, which is the front armhole, Lycra lined with stretch mesh. Pattern piece number 3, which is the back bodice, just a single layer of mesh. And in the photo, this is overlapping the skirt piece because I just want to fit all pattern pieces on one picture. You should also have the sleeve, which is just a single layer of stretch mesh. Pattern piece number 15 and 16, which is the front and back skirt, as well as the shorts. Single layer of Lycra, and the shorts hem band, as well as the shorts gusset, both single layer of Lycra. Let's start sewing. The first step is to sew the channeling or the boning channels onto the front bodice. This is for all views. You will follow this step. You can see that I marked the boning channels with a highlighter. You do have the option to select and deselect layers. Me being the genius that I am, I made it really easy when I printed everything out and had all the lines on it, so it's super confusing. So, little tip if you did the same thing is that you can highlight the lines that correspond with your size. Now, when placing the boning channels, you can, onto your fabric, you can mark it with chalk, but as you can see on this pattern, you wouldn't really see it. So what I did, and is a trick, is that I marked the center with a pin, and then I used my trusty Otis 505 spray adhesive. If you follow any of my tutorials or other videos, you know that this is like my best friend in bra making, and it's become one of my good friends in corset making as well. So I sprayed a little bit on the wrong side of the underwire channeling, and then I laid it over, and then I placed it down. And then that way, when you're sewing it, it's not moving, it's not shifting, so it makes it really easy to sew as well. So I did this side, I will do the other side. Once you finish that, you will sew with a straight stitch as close to that channeling edge as possible on either side. If you sew too close together in the middle, you won't be able to insert the boning, and that will be a big problem. So yeah.